So here's just a quick look at some things to keep an eye out for while you're looking at your graphic novels. One of the things that they do a really good job of on good graphic novels are using the still pictures to create action images. So here's one of the pages that you're going to be looking at for Burma Chronicles. It's during a water festival, and you can see quite clearly how this guy is trying to avoid the water all the way until the end. During this festival, people douse you with water, shoot you squirt guns, things like that. One of the other things to look at, all the way down on the bottom here, you'll see that the author actually breaks the panel, or bleeds off the panel, depending on which terminology you use. This bottom picture here, where he finally does get doused with water, it's kind of breaking out of the box. Alright, the use of the gutter. The gutter is this white space in between boxes. Now the gutter serves a few purposes. In this particular graphic novel, the main purpose he uses for the gutter is to help you track the storyline. So you go left to right, top to bottom, but you can see that these two big boxes on the top are very different than the others. And shading is also interesting here. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see the main character, the second to last box here, he's all shadow as the old lady comes out with the bowl of water. She wants to douse him with the water. And then he finally resigns himself to get doused. So he's not important in this frame. It's the old lady that he wants to draw your attention to. So that's why he's in shadow. So shadow is something that you'll see a lot of great use of in good graphic novels. Speaking of the use of frame, not all frames are squares like you saw in the last example. So this is a really good example from Vietnam America, one of the pages you'll be looking at. You'll see that the frame is inside of the whole page frame. So we've got this smoke coming out of the lighter creating additional frames for the story that's being told. You also get a nice view of the different types of angles or shots that you're going to get, starting with the wide shot on the very top. This is where you get an entire scene. Then other types of shots that you'll get will be the medium shot, and that's where you see the part of the story where he's being choked out by the military police. And then you've got your close shot, his face, and then you've got your real close-up, which is just a tiny little piece. You also get some interesting use of imagery in this particular picture. You get the lighter flame, which is creating the boxes. Caption versus speech bubbles. The top part, the top box here, you'll see caption. It's when the author is telling you something and it's not coming out through speech bubbles or thought bubbles. Down on the bottom, these are speech bubbles. You can usually tell a speech bubble by the little part that comes out at the bottom towards the character. Another interesting thing from this particular one, which is from Showa, is the injection of the author. This weird looking guy down the bottom called Ratman. This is the author injecting himself into the story. He's actually in the story twice in this book. The main character is based on his experiences, but then you've also got Ratman, which is him as he's writing it, interjecting himself. Very interesting use of the injection of the author. Something to kind of keep an eye out for on some of the graphic novels, especially the more autobiographical ones. All right, now the eye catcher, obviously, it's whatever catches your eye. So if you look at this image, and you followed the previous boxes, the eye catcher is usually the kid swatting at the fly with his fly swatter. But when you go really fast with a graphic novel, you miss some of the background images, like the two guys going to the bathroom in the background, or the wall that's not in very good shape. You got all sorts of stuff going on that you're going to miss. Sometimes the eye catcher is meant to connect to other things. So here we've got a lot of things that could catch your eye when you're looking at this one. This is from Ichido. You've got this kind of angry looking guy staring right at the reader. You've got this huge city background. You've got the main characters here, other characters. You've also got kind of a very distinctive look here, which if you're a bit older you might be thinking of like the Beatles, their very famous scene. Even if you're not familiar with the original piece, you might be familiar with a lot of the pop culture versions. So your eye catcher can be used as a way to connect to previous things as well. Now your eye catcher can also be a bit of a distractor. It can help the author put in things that you don't catch right away. I've talked to a teacher that teaches this particular graphic novel here, American Born Chinese, and what she said is that a lot of her students never notice that the entire last chapter takes place at night. And she's able to talk about the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, the end of the story, and how some authors will use night as the end of the story. Some things to look at while you're looking at the graphic novels. Look at your eye catcher, look at shading, look at the use of the box, stuff like that. And one last thing to look at here, the showing without telling. Now that's a big thing when you tell kids to write. Show me, don't tell me. In graphic novels, that's really what they do. Good graphic novel will show you and not tell you. So this is from The Divine. You can see layered levels of meaning here, all sorts of things. It's a story about child soldiers, 2 particular child soldiers. We'll get into that when you read the book. So this image, you can see we've got kids playing. One of them's holding a rocket launcher. You see the machine gun belt in the picture. You see the crosses. You got all sorts of things going on here. You've got the decayed village or trash dump, whatever you want to. So there's all sorts of meaning here. We got the white flag that's been torn to shreds. So when you look at pictures, it's not a simple, okay, and move on. Make sure you look at them closely. Try and find that meaning that you're going to want your kids to explore. That's it.